We got a fun little FTX update.
Ryan is so excited about this because of the text message or the DMs. The DMs.
Yes. I've heard him called now Sam Bankman Fried, which is pretty good.
It's still SBF, so that's perfect.
Sam Bankman Fried, the former CEO of FTX, did an interview with a reporter at Vox, which he was funding a Future Perfect, Future Something, section of Vox.
We can put D1 up on the screen.
The reporter was so the reporter DM'd him to I had this up here to
Kelsey Piper.
And the part that I wanted to focus on, the entire text exchange that she publishes is just absolutely extraordinary. This is a guy who is sitting in a beanbag in the Bahamas, just incriminating himself all up and down, like just in an incredible way. But he also indicted all of society with this one exchange. And so she's asking him about his effective altruism and all of the good works and all the talk that he was doing about making the world a better place and just wanting the best for everybody. It's really what he's all about. And she starts
making money to give away money. That's the effective altruism.
And she starts to see that she's like, so wait, so was all of this just a front? And he's like, yeah, it was a front. And then she asks him, she says, you were really good at talking about ethics for someone who kind of saw it as all a game with winners and losers. And then he writes back, yeah, he. I had to be. It's what reputations are made of to some extent. I feel bad for those who get effed by it, by this dumb game we woke Westerners play where we say all the right shibboleths and so everyone likes us.
Shut the hell up, dude. Seriously, because that's...
Don't you want him exposing this?
No, I mean, well, yes, of course, to that, right? But it is so incredibly shameless because he's also exposing the people who aren't in on it, right? So how many times did the media... In fact, he's actually still scheduled to speak at a New York Times event this month for top thinkers, which I'm going to talk about in my monologue. But that's what's amazing, right, is he understands what he was doing and he's exposing himself as being completely shameless. But the media was covering him as though he was on the cover of Fortune, as though he was he was being talked of as JP Morgan, this guy that was snatching up all the failings and just organizing and helping everyone save the industry, basically. And here he is saying these text messages, F regulators, they make everything worse. They don't protect customers at all. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, he's exposing that it's basically all about money. It's a smokescreen to make more and more and more money. But we were told for how long that if you disagreed with effective altruism and what did he say in the West, the shibboleths that we all have to abide by, which in this case is the full pantheon of cultural leftism that you couldn't say a word against in 2020. If you did say a word against it, you were a bigot. You were a bad person. You weren't just a political disagreement. You were a bad person. And there were billions of dollars built on the back of that effort. And it has gone a long way towards just utterly destroying the country. So while it's somewhat gratifying to watch him crumble, it's also just profoundly sad.
And he's also an idiot. Do you know how many? Do you know how many FDIC insured bank accounts have gone bust since the FDIC was created? Zero. Nobody who had money in an FDIC insured account since it was created after the New Deal, during the New Deal, has lost a single penny. So what do you mean regulators don't protect customers? It's just idiotic.
Well, you know that his father helped Elizabeth Warren write a tax bill. He comes from a family of people who are politically involved.
And I think that's where he got a lot of his cachet. His mother's Barbara Fried, and then obviously his dad is Bankman. And both of them, in their own right, are very well respected kind of rock star academics, because academia is this weird hierarchical place too, where you can rise up to rock star status, and they had. The poignant part about this last quote here, though, is by this dumb game we woke Westerners play where we say all the right shibboleths and so everyone likes us. His parents are effective altruists.
Yes.
They're the ones who taught him these shibboleths, and that part at the end where he says everyone likes us, I thought of his parents and him just being a child wanting the approval and love of his parents, so he speaks this like language that they've taught him. And then that was the first time I ever kind of like felt like some pity on a human level. I was like, wow, what a
in your life,
what a wounded, yeah, ever in my life. No, but for him,
right?
What a wounded child.
I thought when he said that of Elizabeth Holmes. Immediately, I thought of Elizabeth Holmes. And actually, another thing you can still see on the New York Times website for this Deal Book Summit that, what's his name, Andrew Ross Sorkin has been involved with for years, they brag about some of their former speakers, and one of them is Adam Newman. Adam Newman, Elizabeth Holmes, Sam Bankman Fried, you can go down the list, but these are people that the media feted. The media served them to us on a silver platter, did advertising for them, essentially, not being forced to do advertising for them, but for their own purposes. The media boosted these effective altruists, these people who said they were going to change the world and make money to give the money back, and they were all doing this in the name of the common good, et cetera, and all it was an intentional deception. That's it.
And effective altruism is an attempt to justify inequality, to say that the inequality exists, but it's a good thing because it's shepherding all of these resources to these people who have proven by the way that they have fought and clawed their way to the top, that they are the most effective and the smartest people in society, and that they then have this obligation to distribute the money around, rather than we should collectively come together and say, you know what, how about a much higher tax rate for these billionaires? And so they would say, actually, no, you need more. The billionaires like me need more money because I am going to be so good at distributing it. He actually distributed, or I don't know if we've gotten any of it, he distributed some of it to The Intercept.
Yes.
Like, we take foundation money. And he's got a foundation. It was relatively new. I don't even know if the first check cleared. Before the whole thing just completely crumbled and blows up. Yeah. So I assume that's not coming.
Well, it's a good example also, though, because I don't think he expected to exert any pressure over The Intercept's coverage of crypto.
I think.
Or Vox's coverage of crypto, but I think it was.
I wonder. So I think so. What the foundation focused on pandemic stuff, and so what they did is they were like, you guys are doing great work on the NIH, on EcoHealth Alliance, on LabLeak, on pandemic stuff. Here's extra money to continue doing that sort of work. So I think the people that the foundation hires to go spend this money, they actually care about this, and they want that to happen. I think. I mean, clearly he doesn't believe in this stuff. It's all fake. I think his hope is that if he just spreads enough money across the entire world, that when he gets into some trouble, that he'll have his hooks in people, and they might be a little bit gentler on him. Now, you fall cataclysmically like this from grace, then your hooks are all yanked out.
Well, also he clearly doesn't give a damn. As long as he's making money, he clearly didn't care. And that's the thing, because this was all a smokescreen, and he says it over and over again. All the dumb stuff I said. That's in one of these text messages, which you can go read or DMs. You can go read them at Vox. He continued to go back and forth with this Vox journalist who had previously been writing a profile on him, so had an existing relationship. But when all of this is crumbling, he's just talking to this one reporter over direct messages.
Right, and I think it is a longer game because every single piece that we wrote about him that ever mentioned him was negative.
Exactly.
But I think he's okay with that. These super rich people are okay with that because they're because they're trying to capture the entire system, and the little people are criticizing them along the way, and they're like, that's fine.
The one broad point that I'll make here is people have done analyses on what are called super zips from the 1960s to, I think the last time this was in coming apart must have been 2012. And you can go and look at how people lived together in the same communities despite having pretty dramatic income differences in the past and how they do it now. And it's a very big gulf between how we used to live and how we live now. And so people like Sam Bankman Fried, the ultra rich, really don't know regular people. And so his idea that he's just going to dress like an average Joe, or Mark Zuckerberg's just going to dress like an average Joe, it's always been sort of, I think it's kind of projection, right? That I can pretend to be normal. Or I can be normal in some way or another, but what they're doing is saying we're going to use our inequality to fix inequality, et cetera, but they never want to do anything anything that actually would cut into, like, change the tax code. Let's say, so you can stop, so you can stop cheating on your taxes. Like, not cheating, but you can stop gaming the tax code in your
But from their perspective, if you're so good at gaming the tax code, then you deserve that money, and you're probably going to then spend it better than the government would.
It's what Trump said to Hillary Clinton. She was like, he cheats on his taxes, and he was like, that makes me smart. And the difference between Donald Trump and Sam Bankman Fried is that Donald Trump will say this, not just in DMs, but in a presidential debate, where Sam Bankman Fried is out there talking about how he's just doing this for the greater good. Give me a break. And that's where you get people drawn to Donald Trump.
Right, because we also know instinctively, intuitively, that all the people that are at these Met Galas and at these other, all the entire kind of gala circuit in New York City, they don't know what, they barely know what the cause is for that dinner that they're going to.
Just another night at Cipriani.
Right. How much? Some of them like the opera. Others are you're just supposed to pay for the opera. You just give the money to the opera. That's what you do. This is one of the first where he just says it outright.
The best example.
It was just a front.
The best example of that is the Black Lives Matter Global Foundation, which, if you are somebody who is a donor of multi-millions of dollars, you would pause before giving that group money, because they were opaque in ways that were sketchy from the very beginning, and that has now all crumbled. But they raked in tens of millions of dollars from people like Sam Bankman-Fried. I don't know if he gave specifically, but in 2020...
I don't think he was rich enough by then. He just, and that's the other reason he got so much media coverage. He was like, nobody buys a Bitcoin, turns it into $30 billion like overnight.
Yeah.
So the media's just going to be fascinated by that. And they're like, oh, and your parents are famous?
Fascinated, but also like very favorable to it in a creepy,
oh, and you're giving money
way.
to Democrats?
Yeah, the one.
And against progressive, like that's the thing. A lot of his money that he was spending for Democrats was in primaries against progressive Democrats.
And Stoller has pointed out that his business partner was giving big to Republicans too. So this idea that it was just all a Dem grift, I think, is a little off the mark. Although he definitely gave a lot of money to Democrats. But the point is, like, he does, like, it's a virtue. This millions and millions of dollars that empowered, I think, some destructive forces in our culture was a smokescreen for corporatists to make an F ton of money, basically.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Sagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.